All right, today we are going to be changing the fuel filter, this guy, on the OM612 engine. If you don't know what type of engine you have, when you open your hood, if you see this intake and this EGR, dead giveaway, you have the OM612, which is an 02 to 03. We're going to be replacing, that's actually an OEM fuel filter, and we got this bad boy from Million Mile Sprinter. I'm going to give it a shot. I've been using OEM for quite a while now, and the difference is, I'm actually going to show you. So this is the OEM. If you want OEM, there's the part number, the A612092 000164. So the top is seemingly the same, right? But we don't have this little guy, which I think is kind of like a pressure bleeder of some sort. And then this little guy, there's actually a screw with an O-ring, and this is to bleed your water if there's water in the system. Major cause of air leak in the fuel system, which is why I'm going with this guy. And then also you have this little weird rectangular thing where you put the water and fuel sensor. Again, that has an O-ring as well. So these are two additional places where air can leak into the system. And based on the regulation of diesel in the US, and what I've read online on Sprinter Source and the Facebook group, and Joel and Bill and Dr. A. Actually, I don't know the Dr. A. I think Dr. A actually endorses this guy because he's like, just do it right. But I'm like, let's just eliminate the issue. So now we just have the O-ring that comes from the fuel line, and then we have a brand new O-ring on here, which we will lube up with diesel, and then that's just 2 connection points. I also am replacing this like return fuel piece, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then I got 2 new, this just one hand, but we gotta loosen this little guy up. So we're gonna go ahead, break that. Get that loosened. I'm actually gonna take the whole thing out just because it makes it easier getting the fuel filter out. That just pinches the fuel filter, keeps it steady. There we go. I gotta use both hands. Okay, now I am going to loosen these little guys. I'm gonna take these screws out. So again, I'm gonna need both hands because I don't want to lose that screw. Simple enough. All right, so those 2 screws are out. And now we're gonna use a 7mm, and we're gonna loosen these clamps on the lines. Get them pretty loose. Just make it easier later. And then get this guy. Guy's super loose. And then you'll notice that right here, this one is not a screw clamp, but I'm gonna replace this. So I'm actually gonna break that off and have an assortment of fuel injector hose clamps. I think it's gonna be these guys, but I will post that in the video description. All right, again, sorry for the shit vid. Doing my best here. So this is the fuel filter. So I'm actually gonna raise it up, and on the bottom there's an electrical plug-in. I'm just gonna unplug this. I'm not taking out the water and fuel sensor, which I will show later. This is actually gonna end up being zip tied in a bag with the water and fuel sensor plugged up, because we no longer need that on the fuel sensor that we're using. You might be wondering, does that send a fault code? Well, no, because it's gonna be plugged in. So really it's just like, hey, there's no water in this random bag. So that's how that's gonna work. So now that that's unplugged, I can pretty much pull this all the way out. But first, I'm gonna take off this guy. I'm gonna pull this hose off. I'm gonna pull this hose off. And then once this is out, you're able to turn this 90. Once both of these are off, you'll be able to turn it 90. And honestly, even if you're not replacing this clamp, you can still turn it 90. To get this off, it's counterintuitive, but you're gonna push this in. And sometimes it's hard to get in with your finger, so you gotta use a Phillips head, but I think I can get it. Nope, I can't. Okay. All right, so I was able to push that in. I actually didn't use a Phillips head. I just got this under and just pushed it like that. You need to hit it from both sides. So now, when you pull that out, you're gonna lose a little bit of fuel. All right, I was having trouble pulling this off, so I actually added this screw back in just so I'd have leverage to push. All right, just had a new idea. I'm gonna let this leak. So this guy's out. I'm basically just gonna put that on top of there. And you'll see here that the fuel is leaking out. There are bubbles in the system, and you can see it just getting rid of all the fuel. So let that sit for a sec, and then I'll come in and actually take the fuel filter out. All right, so I got that part free. Got that guy out. There's the new one. And now I can just go ahead and slide this all the way out. And it's still full of fuel. There's the water and fuel sensor right there. And we're gonna take that out and plug it in into that other sensor. I'm gonna leave this sitting up though, and if you take that out, fuel will go everywhere. So don't do that. Okay. There's the old O-ring, the new O-ring. You don't have to do this every time. I'm just chasing down a hole or air in my system. It's only one bubble, but I want to get rid of it. So this guy is gonna go right there in that little gap. Okay, new O-ring is on. Don't forget to lubricate that with diesel. Otherwise you might pinch. We're gonna take out this sensor. I do need two hands because we're gonna push down and then twist. So down, twist. This is what it looks like. There's the part number. And you can see there's an O-ring on there. So we're just gonna plug this up and put it in a bag and zip tie it down low. All right, are you seeing a bunch of air bubbles here? Also just wanna make sure if you even see fuel here, like if your lines are clear enough. And then right here, do you see fuel coming up to this guy? The tool that Dr. A talked me through creating is essentially to use one of these connectors to connect to this outtake so that you suck fuel from that line, which is ultimately going to be coming from the fuel filter. And then you put like a little zip tie on there once you're done, just to make sure, given the pressure is high. This is what the tool looks like. So it's like a little mighty vac, and this part goes into one end of this. It's that one. It says to pump. And then you use a spare Voss connector, which is the same part right there. And then you essentially take that one out, plug this one in, which requires a bit of maneuvering. And then this part goes to the other side of this guy. And you basically pump until you have fuel in this. And then once you see, once you see the fuel in this guy, you basically just pull out your pump one and then put this piece back in real quick. All right, so now that I've shown you the tool, we're going to get set up to use the tool. So we are going to push up on that. And we're going to keep my little zip tie. And then we're gonna wiggle this off. There we go. Gonna push that out of the way. Get a little paper towel in there to get some of that fuel. And I'm actually going to replace that O-ring. Okay, so new ring is on, and we'll get that lubed up so it's ready to go. She's a little bit of the old diesel. And then we'll get that lubed in there. Okay, so I'm gonna put this guy kind of off to the side here, and I just let that balance, and then and then this is the side that is gonna go in. So again, I'm gonna lube that up with some adhesive, get a good connection. Make sure it's nice and shiny. And then we're gonna put that, move this little guy. Okay, get my pliers again. So I'm gonna line that up, and then I'm pushing. So now that's in place, and then get that. There we go. So, let's see. So basically, it's a little janky. This is not my best work. I think normally I have this behind, which might make this interesting, but essentially we're now going to suck fuel from this guy. We're basically creating our own vacuum pump. So this is the other end, which will go into the, actually that'll be switched. So that'll go into this little part, and then we will pull fuel up through here. And then once fuel is filling up in this little guy, we're essentially gonna pop that out and then pop this guy in real quick. So I actually do think I have it the right way, because once this comes out, this will fly back into position, and then we'll have the pliers ready and push it back in. So I'm gonna try to get my best camera angle. Sorry if it's not good. I'm just gonna pull it back so you can get the holistic view. Next time I'll have my wife help. Okay. Putting that on there. Like usually this is not. There we go. And then this one goes to pump. And then just start sucking, and you'll see fuel coming up under. And really, we're looking for a well-poured beer here. So right now, we're filling up the fuel filter. There's no diesel coming in here. I'm going nice and slow. I'm gonna pump a little faster, just for viewers' sake. It's getting a little harder. Thinking we should be hopefully seeing diesel pretty soon here. There we go. So it's starting to fill, so I don't want to overfill this. So that's pretty good. No foam. Do one more pump. So now this guy's good. We're gonna let that hang. And then this is the part that's kind of sketch. So hopefully, it's not really sketchy, it's just hard to do, but we're not losing diesel, so I know there's no leaks. So I'm gonna pop this guy off, the one that's in there, and then I'm gonna switch the other one in real quick. And hopefully this goes well. So we're gonna just wiggle that guy off. Don't want to lose the diesel either. Okay, just about there. Okay, so that's off, and then other one is on. And then we're gonna push that up. And that is that. So yeah, and I can still see the diesel in the line. And then this guy, just take out. There's how much diesel I got. You can discard of it or pour it back into your tank, let that hang for just a second. Okay, just gonna wipe up some of the diesel here that spilled, and then we're gonna pull, and I'll show you on the video, but we're gonna use this zip tie. It's just a lot of pressure going into there, so Dr. A recommended having a zip tie to just keep it nice and tight. All right, moment of truth, let's fire her up. See if see how I did. Perfect start.